She looked like any other teenage girl. Quiet, almost unassuming, dressed in a simple light gray hoodie and jeans chosen for comfort on the long flight ahead. Evelyn clutched the first-class ticket, seat 1A, not as a status symbol, but as a fragile token of achievement. Straight A's. Her first flight alone. A reward proudly booked by her father. It should have felt like a dream. Instead, a cold dread began to creep in. Camera pans slightly to reveal Claire, the lead flight attendant. Sharp blonde hair pinned back severely, posture rigid, eyes scanning the cabin with an air of absolute authority. From the moment Claire's icy gaze landed on Evelyn, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't just scrutiny, it was suspicion. A silent judgment passed in the flicker of an eye, deeming Evelyn out of place. An imposter in this plush sanctuary. Claire's polished shoes clicked softly on the carpet as she approached Evelyn's row, her steps slowing, deliberate. A smile touched her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hi there," she began, her voice smooth but edged with steel. "Are you sure you're in the right seat?" Evelyn, startled but polite, nodded. "Yes, seat 1A. Claire's smile tightened. "May I see your boarding pass, please?" The request was standard, but the tone was anything but. It was a challenge. Evelyn handed it over, her heart starting to pound against her ribs. Claire glanced at the pass, then back at Evelyn, her gaze lingering just a little too long, making Evelyn shrink inwardly. A heavy silence descended. Nearby passengers shifted uncomfortably, stealing glances but quickly looking away, unwilling to intervene. Whispers, hushed but audible, pricked at Evelyn's ears. She felt utterly alone, isolated under the weight of unspoken disapproval. Claire straightened up, her voice regaining its crisp authority, now laced with cold finality. "I'm sorry, but this seat is reserved." She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. Her implication hung heavy in the air. Reserved for people who belong. You'll need to move to the back of the plane. The words struck Evelyn like a physical blow. Humiliation washed over her, hot and stinging. This wasn't just about a seat. It was about the way Claire looked at her, the subtle curl of her lip, the dismissal that felt rooted in something deeper, uglier, a prejudice that decided her worth based on, what? Her quietness? Her simple clothes? Her face? "But, my father booked this," Evelyn managed, her voice barely a whisper. "Policy is policy," Claire snapped, any pretense of politeness gone. "We need the seat. Please gather your things." Tears pricked Evelyn's eyes, but she fought them back fiercely. Head down, clutching her small backpack, she began the long, agonizing walk down the aisle towards economy. Each step felt heavier than the last, the stares of the other passengers burning into her back. She was an exhibit, a problem being removed. Camera follows Evelyn's perspective walking down the aisle, then shifts focus subtly. But not everyone looked away. Seated just a row behind where Evelyn had been, in 1B, a man in a perfectly tailored navy suit watched the entire exchange. His expression remained impassive, calm, almost detached. Yet, beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. His eyes, sharp and intelligent, missed nothing. This was Richard Matthews, billionaire owner of the airline. And, unbeknownst to Claire or anyone else in that cabin, Evelyn's father. Close up on Richard's phone as a text message notification appears. "It's from Evelyn. She made me leave first class. Said I didn't belong." Richard read the message, his jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. A muscle flickered beneath his calm exterior. This wasn't just a seating error. This was cruelty. Bias. An insult not just to his daughter, but to everything he believed his airline should stand for. He'd seen the subtle prejudice, the dismissive tone. He'd seen the silent complicity of others. And the quiet fury within him solidified into cold, hard resolve. He discreetly pulled out his own phone. With quiet determination, he dialed a secure number, Control HQ. His voice, when he spoke, was low, level, betraying none of the rage simmering beneath, yet carrying an unmistakable weight of authority that demanded immediate action. "Connect me to Operations Lead, Priority 1. Yes, regarding Flight 748. There's been an incident involving a first-class passenger. Cut back to Claire, obliviously. Preparing coffee service in the galley, a small smirk playing on her lips. Claire stirred sugar into a cup, feeling a smug satisfaction. Upholding standards. Maintaining order. That's what mattered. She hadn't given the girl in the hoodie a second thought after dispatching her to economy. She failed to notice the uneasy glances exchanged by her junior colleagues, the way they suddenly found tasks elsewhere when she approached. Then, the overhead intercom crackled to life, sharp and clear. Flight Attendant Claire Henson, please report to the cockpit immediately. A chill traced its way down Claire's spine. She froze, coffee spoon hovering midair. That summons felt different. Urgent. She set the cup down, straightened her uniform, and marched towards the cockpit, trying to project an air of confidence she suddenly didn't feel. Richard Matthews, from seat 1B, watched her go, his gaze unwavering, colder than the stratosphere outside. Scene, inside the cockpit. Captain Reynolds, a seasoned professional, and a senior operations officer visible on a communication screen. The captain motioned Claire inside. The officer on screen wasted no time. His voice was calm, factual, but carried an ominous weight. Claire, we have a report. A first-class passenger, Evelyn Matthews, was removed from her seat and sent to economy. Can you explain? Claire felt a prickle of unease but forced a smile. Oh, yes. A young girl, seemed confused about her section. Just a routine correction, ensuring paying passengers were correctly seated. The officer's eyes narrowed slightly on the screen. Did you verify her ticket, Claire? Claire hesitated. I glanced at it. Standard procedure. Did you recognize the name? Evelyn Matthews. No, I didn't. The admission felt weak, exposing the haste of her judgment. The officer leaned closer to the camera on his end. Claire, did you make this decision based solely on how this young passenger looked? The question hung in the air, heavy and accusatory. It cut straight to the heart of it. Claire stammered. It was a judgment call. She didn't seem like. She trailed off, the implication clear. The officer's voice turned grave. Evelyn Matthews is the daughter of Richard Matthews, the owner of this airline. He is currently seated in 1B and witnessed the entire event. He has ordered a full review. The floor seemed to drop out from beneath Claire. Richard Matthews' daughter. Humiliated. Publicly. With him watching. The severity of her actions crashed down on her. Panic surged. Captain Reynolds, his face grim, delivered the verdict. Claire, you will return to the cabin immediately. You will locate Miss Matthews. You will apologize to her, sincerely and publicly. Then you will personally escort her back to seat 1A. Upon landing, you will report directly to the executive board for a formal disciplinary review. Scene. Claire emerges from the cockpit, visibly shaken. The cabin atmosphere is tense. Claire walked back into the cabin, her composure shattered. The confident stride was gone, replaced by hesitant steps. Passengers watched her, whispers rippling through the rows. Even her colleagues avoided her gaze. In seat 1B, Richard Matthews sat, a silent, powerful sentinel. Scene, economy class. Evelyn stares out the window, trying to appear calm, but hurt radiates from her. Evelyn sat huddled in the cramped economy seat, earbuds in, trying to block out the world, trying to numb the stinging humiliation. The injustice felt like a physical weight. Then, Claire was there, crouching slightly beside her row, her voice strained, uncertain. Miss Matthews, it seems there has been a misunderstanding. She attempted a placating smile. I'd like to escort you back to your original seat. Evelyn slowly removed one earbud, fixing her gaze on Claire. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken accusation. I apologize if there has been any inconvenience, Claire offered weakly. Evelyn's voice, though soft, cut through the cabin noise. A misunderstanding. She tilted her head. You saw my ticket. You told me I didn't belong. Why? Her words were quiet, dignified, but held the force of undeniable truth. Passengers nearby leaned in, listening intently. The passive acceptance from earlier was gone, replaced by murmurs of disapproval directed at Claire. Claire paled, stammering, I made a judgment call, without checking properly. You didn't ask anyone else for their ticket? Evelyn pressed gently, relentlessly. Only me. Why? The question hung in the air, unanswered, an indictment of the bias laid bare. Claire stood trapped, exposed under the weight of dozens of judging eyes, and the silent, potent gaze from seat 1B. Scene: Claire escorts Evelyn back to first class. The walk is tense, the power dynamic completely reversed. Wordlessly, Claire led Evelyn back towards the front of the plane. The walk was a mirror image of the earlier one, but now it was Claire who felt the burn of judgmental stares. Evelyn walked with quiet dignity, head held high. As she reached seat 1A, she slid back in, reclaiming her rightful place. Richard Matthews offered his daughter a small, almost imperceptible nod of pride and reassurance. Moments later, the captain's voice came over the intercom, warm but laced with apology. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Aureus Airlines, I offer our sincerest apologies to Miss Evelyn Matthews for the unacceptable treatment she received earlier. We are conducting a full investigation. Scene: landing sequence. The plane taxis to the gate. As the plane taxied to the gate, the tension remained palpable. The seatbelt sign pinged off. But before passengers could stand, a uniformed security officer boarded, tall and imposing. He scanned the first-class cabin, his gaze stopping on Claire. Claire Henson. His voice was firm, official. A collective intake of breath. Claire nodded, trembling slightly. You'll need to come with us, the officer stated calmly. Mr. Matthews has requested a formal review regarding a discriminatory incident. Head bowed, stripped of her authority and pride, Claire was escorted off the plane, past the watching passengers, past Evelyn who sat composed, a symbol of quiet strength. At the end of the jet bridge, two stern-faced executives waited. Claire's fate was sealed. Scene: executive lounge. Calm, luxurious. Evelyn sips water. Richard watches her with concern. Later, in the quiet sanctuary of the executive lounge, Richard gently asked his daughter, "You okay?" Evelyn met his gaze, her eyes clear, resolute. "Yeah." A small, determined smile touched her lips. "I think they were scared too." Richard confirmed Claire's suspension. "We're giving her a chance to explain," he said quietly. "But change is coming. Mandatory bias training, stricter policies. This won't happen again. Not just because of today, but for everyone who's ever been judged before they had a chance to speak." Evelyn nodded, looking out at the bustling airport below. The humiliation had been real, the pain sharp. But from it, something else had emerged, a quiet power, an unwavering resolve. The injustice she endured had sparked a fire, not just for herself, but for countless others. The flight was over, but the journey towards real change had just begun. Fade out slowly on Evelyn's determined face. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell.